Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. Well, first of all, I'd like to apologize if you hear a lot of background noises because right now it's actually raining, and the raindrops are actually falling on my air conditioner. So it might hear a lot of background noise. So I'm sorry for that. I don't want to delay it to record it tomorrow, so that's why I'm doing it right now. Hopefully, it's not too bold or prominent, the background noise. Okay, the topic that I like to talk about is something that I get asked quite often is just doing yoga enough? And whenever I hear this question, I often would ask back is, what do you mean enough? Enough of what, then people would elaborate. They would be like, oh, does it give you enough cardio or does it give you enough, strength building, because a lot of people are still very locked into the thought that yoga is very gentle, very mild, very still, is more involved on stretches. They think that, I have to stretch when I do yoga. Yoga is often seen as more like a complementary thing, or like a cool down thing to their primary practice, like primary workout, like running or basketball or like other sports activities. So and they don't really see that yoga is actually multi-layers. And I find that quite unfair because I've rarely heard people say that, is playing tennis enough or is swimming enough, or maybe because yoga is so multidimensional that not a lot of people would understand that it's not just stretching. That might be it. So anyways, just want to get back to this, is practicing yoga, is just practicing yoga enough? A few things. What is enough? Enough, of course, enough is like a measurement. So there needs to be some sort of reference or some sort of guidelines. So who sets these standards and definition? Is it based on some research or is it based on some personal preference? So, even if it's based on research, science has proven that, having 8 hours of sleep is the best number of hours, best ideal resting duration, having eating a certain amount of carbs, eating a certain amount of vegetables and fruits, they make the body function better or function the most ideal. Again, those are research, and it's like a group of data collected by a big group of individuals. But then I think ultimately it really boils down to that particular individual. Perhaps that particular individual's living habits, their physique, their pathology, their culture, everything. So asking is practicing yoga enough, I think it's a bit vague. And the more specific questions that I get asked is, does yoga give you enough cardio? Do you need to do running or other things to, give you enough cardio? And then is yoga, just practicing yoga, give you enough strength? Do you need to, go to the gym or lift weights and do other kinds of exercise in order to have a more complete workout regime? Then I get so confused because, again, nobody asked is just doing swimming enough is alone, or doing tennis alone is enough, or doing running alone is enough. But then I get asked so many times about this one. I think that, cardio, there are so many different kinds of cardio. Running is a kind of cardio. Aerobics, CrossFit, all those things like HIIT, there are different kinds of cardio. So what is enough? Even if I can run for, a 10K run in less than 40 minutes, whatever, doesn't mean that I can survive an aerobic session. It doesn't mean that I can survive a vinyasa practice, right? And even if I can lift a lot of really heavy weights, doesn't mean that I can do a crow pose, or doesn't mean that I do any arm balance. So there are so many different kinds of strength and cardio. And back to yoga, if we're talking purely about the physical side of yoga, it's not just stretching. It's not, there's so many kinds. If you're into cardio, then perhaps you can look into vinyasa or ashtanga. Those that require you to move in a more faster, more dynamic way with the breath could be very, very demanding. And also for strength, maybe ashtanga, maybe power, different kinds. And it's cute that people on one side still regard yoga as like meditative, very zen, but then sometimes they would kind of forget about that side. They would just focus on the physical side. Physical health is definitely very important, but also mental health. I never get asked about, how's my mental health, or is practicing yoga enough for my mental health, right? Never get asked that. It's only the physical side. We cannot forget that mental health is just as important as physical health. And I think that the reason why is because, again, if you play other sports, you get to sweat a lot. There's a lot of things happening because there's so much activities happening that the mental state or the brain or the mind tends to kind of relax a bit because it's very easily distracted and focused on the actual activity that's happening, be it playing tennis or swimming. Whereas for yoga, still to a lot of people, it's slow or quite static. You're not running around like you do in a tennis match. You're not traveling great distance or doing anything in a large area. When you're doing a yoga practice, a physical yoga practice, you're still moving within that, yoga mat. So again, it's not a lot of things are happening compared to if you're doing like basketball or soccer, things like that. When you travel quite a bit, you have to do a lot of physical workout. So that could be the reason why. And in terms of strength, again, there's so many different kinds of strength. I guess if you do go to the gym, then it's more focus. You work on one machine for a particular set of muscles, another machine for a different kind of movement. But then for yoga, again, it's not as direct or it's not as specific. You work on the overall strength. But then there are two kinds. I mean, if you practice more on the floor, i.e. mat yoga, you would do more push. We rarely pull. Whereas for aerial yoga, we pull. We rarely push. We push less than we pull, right? So for me, if you ask me, my pull strength is actually quite weak. I don't think I can do a proper chin-up. But then my push is a lot more stronger. That's simply because, I do a lot of arm balance. I do a lot of inversions, plank pose, chaturangas, all that stuff. So that's why my push strength is a lot stronger than my pull. But then, again, if you step out, take a few steps back and look at the entire picture of how you live, how much strength do you really, really need? In order to carry your everyday life, do you always have to do pull-ups or do you have to, push stuff away? I don't know. Then think about it that way. Then you can actually find out, whether or not your practice is enough. Having said that, if you want to run, if you want to play tennis, if you want to swim, if you want to do other things, aside from your yoga practice, by all means, go ahead. As long as it's something that you truly enjoy, you love doing, it's a good challenge to you, then why not? For me, like a long time ago, I used to do Muay Thai as well, with my yoga practice. And I know I've been slacking off. I know I should be picking it up again. Is my skateboarding. I mean, I love skateboarding, and that's, paired with my yoga practice. I cannot imagine missing a yoga practice just because I want to do skateboard, but sometimes I do miss it. And yoga practice to me is not just the physical anymore. Sometimes it's more, dynamic. Sometimes it's a lot more quiet. Don't forget that if you are practicing yoga, the physical side of it is just a gateway to the meditative side. It's more about observation. It's not about, it's perfectly fine to break a sweat, to, do all these like jumpsuits and jump bags and all these vinyasas like crazy. But as long as you are aware of what you're doing and you're breathing okay, that's fine. I don't think that the cardio side of yoga could ever replace running and the lifting weights, going to the gym, the strength that can be built can ever replace the strength that you can accumulate during a yoga practice. But then, again, really depends on what you want, and feel free to mix and match, because yoga is not just fixed on a particular sequence. It's more about the mindset. If you're running, if you're being so mindful of how you run, how you're breathing, you are practicing yoga as well. And if you're lifting weights, again, if you're really focusing on what your body's telling you, not overdoing it, breathing again, then again, you are practicing yoga. So yoga is not just fixed on anything. It could be everything. All right, and that is my sharing for today. Hope you like it. Share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I'll see you again soon. Take it easy.